Welcome to 7th grade science. The first thing that we are going to look at is the ways that different scientists think. So first of all, we need to know what science is. Many people think that science is simply just facts, knowledge, and different processes. And so an example of a process or a scientific process would be the water cycle. So the water cycle says it can start anywhere, that we have some precipitation, it hits the ground, it can either infiltrate into the ground or run off over into the land, into other bodies of water. Eventually, wherever that water lands, it will evaporate again, clouds will form, which then returns back to precipitation. So that would be one process. But science is a way of learning about the natural world that depends on evidence, reasoning, and repeated testing. So it's so much more than just facts, knowledge, and processes. It's a way of learning about the natural world. All science is based on observations and experiments. So in order to be a good scientist, you need to be observant. You need to notice things around you. And noticing these things causes you to ask questions. And then those answers are based on evidence and logic. And so sometimes you have to do experiments to test these ideas in order to get answers. And sometimes when you do that, you get results, but you have to be skeptical of your results. And the claims must be backed by adequate evidence. So if you do an experiment and you get one set of results, that's not adequate or enough evidence. It would need to be repeated many, many times. And scientists also need to be open-minded because scientific knowledge is always evolving or changing as new evidence is discovered. So all of this scientific knowledge gets either grouped into scientific theories or scientific laws. And so some knowledge, scientific knowledge, gains the status of a theory. And so a scientific theory is a broad explanation of why that is widely accepted because it is supported by a great deal of evidence. The idea or the scientific theory has been tested and confirmed repeatedly. So almost every single time that this experiment has been done, they have gotten the same results. And so it generally helps explain many different observations. So an example of a theory is the theory of evolution by natural selection. This explains how living things changed over time. So oftentimes students think that theories are less supported by evidence than laws because in normal everyday talk we say, oh, well, I have a theory why Mrs. Bowles is late to class today. And so it's more of, in everyday language, we use the word theory as kind of a guess. And when we're speaking in everyday language, that's fine. However, the important thing to remember is that these are scientific theories. And scientific theories have a ton of evidence to support them. And so they are no less valid than scientific laws. And a scientific law is a description of what always occurs under certain conditions in nature. This describes many observations, but it doesn't explain them. And so an example of a scientific law would be Mendel's laws of inheritance. They describe how traits are passed from parents to offspring, but it doesn't go any further to explain them. So maybe you guys notice that every Wednesday I'm late for class. And so that would be like a Wednesday law. It's Wednesday, Miss Voles is going to be late for class. It doesn't explain why I was late for class. It simply explains what always occurs under the condition, and the condition being Wednesday. So make sure that you understand that laws explain what always occurs. They're not simply ideas that are based on facts, and they are not the only truly reliable scientific knowledge, just because the word law is in there.